Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in today's video, yes, you should max Minamoto in 2025 and beyond. There's still no commander as good as he is for rallying Barbarian forts. So in this video, I'll break it down for you. Where is he good? Should you max him or not? And also, what's he actually used for? And look, I realized, what video am I going to make today? I was like, oh, right. Like, I need an updated Minamoto video, and I'm literally rallying Barbarian forts with Minamoto right now. Now, look, I don't think he's got an endgame use besides just rallying Barbarian forts. And if you're new to my channel, consider subscribing. I'm in one of the top alliances in the game, and in this alliance, we have a Barbarian fort requirement. So every single week, I need to rally at least, I think it's 15 Barb forts per day. Over the course of that week, it's got to average out, all right? Why am I telling you this? Barbarian forts generate a bunch of valuable loot. I made a dedicated video about this. It gives you action point potions, and in the end game, the best alliances will require you to do this. And who's the best guy to rally Barbarian forts? It's Minamoto. So you can only get Minamoto, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, from VIP. And the reason he's good for rallying Barbarian forts is that he's got damage to Barbarians, and he's got the peacekeeping talent tree, which gives you a bunch of ways to deal extra damage to Barbarians and to reduce your action point cost. Now, in case you're wondering, this is the talent build I'm currently using on Minamoto for rallying Barbarian forts. There is potentially a way to squeeze out even more damage. I'm currently going for a little bit of march speed because that's kind of the bottleneck for me rallying Barbarian forts right now. But if I was starting all over and I was playing on an account where I'm spending, the first thing I would go and do is up my VIP and max out Minamoto, because you're going to be able to use him in the first couple seasons of KVK for fighting, and you'll battle with him against other players using a talent build like this. Pretty uncontroversial. The only thing you could potentially move around is maybe a few points of rage, although I'm not sure you want to get latent power, which is damage over time enhancement. And he does a lot of damage over time. We'll talk about his skills in just a minute here. Here's his damage over time effect. 600 damage factor per second for 2 seconds. When he's maxed out, you have a 75% chance for that to trigger, all right? So he is going to be the best way to rally Barbarian forts, okay? Not only because he's got 50% damage to Barbarians, which doesn't help you against other players, it's just versus Barbs. Not only does he have the talent tree, where you get all this extra damage versus Barbs, and the action point cost reduction, which, yeah, like over the life of your account, is value to you, okay? But also, he is a cavalry commander. Cavalry move faster, but also, cavalry is an easy troop type to have equipment and armaments for. Why am I telling you that? What do you mean easy troop type for equipment and armaments? Well, your next best option used to be a free-to-play commander that you could work on easily, and that was Ethelfled. Okay? She's got 35% damage bonus to Barbarians, and the support leadership talent tree with peacekeeping is decent. Okay? But then you need to have leadership-specific gear, eventually, to work with her, because she's got the leadership talent tree. Bit of a bummer. What do I mean by that? So once you get further along in the game, you make equipment. You can see on my Minamoto right now, I've actually got my open field cavalry equipment on him. You get these things called special talents, which gives you extra stats when you match the troop type with the talent type. And you can see this is talented for cavalry. He is a cavalry commander. That's the way that's set up, all right? Leadership is something that you probably will not do unless you're a big spender in the end game, and you're not going to have leadership equipment, so you're probably not going to run an Ethelfled primary. Now, all of this came to a head in the end game when they released higher level Barbarian forts going all the way up to level 10, which, like, honestly, I may not even be able to find a level 10 to show you. Here's a level 9. But you actually will get kind of wrecked against the highest level of Barb forts unless your Minamoto is, like, maxed out. We'll talk about, like, okay, well, do I have to max him? We'll talk about that, okay? But because they added up to level 10 Barb forts, and the way that people run these Barb forts is typically the rally lead plus one other person, okay? It's called a 1+1 strategy. The reason you do this is that you want to get as many of these alliance reward crates as possible from forts, which means you want the least number of people possible to destroy the fort, which is 2 people. One person leads the rally, one person joins the rally so it runs, which means your alliance is going to be running barb forts like this all day long, getting taxed at the same time. You're going to be running barb forts like this all day long with people like struggling to get into the rallies because they want to be able to participate in this and get their minimum forts in. And the alliance benefits, I mean, we get so many alliance gifts over here from these little forts. I mean, just in this time I've been recording this video, look at all these rewards I got, including action point potions. And this is just in the, 5 minutes it's been. Consider subscribing if you're getting value so far, learning about the way the end game works and which commanders are good to invest in from a player who's actually put in the work. I've got 2,500 days logged for whatever it's worth, and a decent amount of kill points, 35, almost 36 billion kill points. Yep. So where are we going with this? Your other option for rallying barbarian forts that's bad is actually going to be double C. And you're going to be like, what? It's bad? Yeah, it is. Because double C doesn't have the talent trees to do what needs to be done here. He is great to pair with Minamoto. You'll get him early. So you'd think, oh, easy W, I'll just use double C instead, get him for free, pull him from gold chest. No. Even though he also has the 50% damage to barbarians, which is good, the problem is that peacekeeping is not that good for rallying barbarian forts. Okay? And the mobility tree sucks for barbarian forts. And the cavalry tree is not all that good for barb forts either. You really want the skill tree, ideally. So what I've seen people say is that, and like there were people that spent way more time and effort thinking about this than I did, but like double C would get you to the barb fort faster, but it would take so much longer to take it out that like you would end up with a bigger repair bill, and also it wouldn't be that much faster depending on how far you're running, because you actually take down the fort faster with the skill talent tree. And if you're wondering, like, really, is it that much of a difference? I mean, yeah, it is. Like, every time you use an active skill, you generate more rage, which means you start to use your active skills faster, and then you get more skill damage, and you're also generating more rage, and you get more skill damage, right? This really does make a difference for taking down barb forts faster, okay? And faster is the key. Now, you can also run a build for running around and just hitting barbarians. And if you're doing that, you definitely want Curing Chant. You definitely want Trophy Hunter. And this is my blended build for forts and regular barbs. But I kind of realized that now that we're hitting level 10 forts, and you can get some pretty negative, not so great reports if you're not really set up correctly, I really felt like using a build like this is superior. And I even do want to kind of take these 4 points off, put the 3 into the damage over here for latent power, and just find another place for one of these talent points. Like, I think I'd rather have the damage than the 3% health and 3% march speed. Call me crazy. I could be wrong on that. I think that might be where I'm at right now. All right. So the other thing I want to talk about with Minamoto here is the fact that you don't have to have him maxed. So you can see, by the way, here's a barb fort report, a level 8 fort. I still took a total of 700,000 wounded. That's 350 for me, 350 for my, ally who joined in this rally. Okay. But if we get a look at some of these other fort reports, like this is a really well executed fort rally. And we took 1,748 sev wounds. Okay? That's a lot of sevs for a barb fort. Okay? And I even filled with extra troops over here. I used some extra march capacity from Freddy. So like, yeah, the level 10 barb forts really are that much more difficult to take down. And your goal will be to take those down soon enough, right? And so I mentioned this because this is like a pretty hefty repair bill for the 1+1 strategy, which is your end game. This is inevitable. You will do this. It is the Thanos of this situation. Here's me rallying level 9, right? And it's still 850,000 sevs for the total. So, 425 for me, 425 for an ally, right? Like the repair bill starts to add up, and this might be your next best option, weirdly enough. at the time of this recording, if you're not going to go in on Minamoto, at this time in the end game, there's this commander, Huo. People pair with Hercules because he does area of effect damage. And so there's a chance that you hit a barb that's nearby and get that taken out for free, which is kind of neat. You still can do that with Minamoto. You don't need to do Huo for that. In fact, when my march is walking back, I use a second army to rally with. Obviously, Double C's in this army, and Ethelfled is available. But what I'm still going to do is I'm going to try to find a barb fort. I have my second set of cav gear on my Huo. Oh my god, level 5. Ew, gross. Like, surely we can do better. Level 8, there it is. Right? So I'll use Huo primary in this instance. And then I'll, I happen to use like Nevsky secondary, or I'll use Arthur secondary or something like that. I suppose I could use Hera. I'm just going to try it out just for funsies. Right, there we go. Now, if we make our way over to VIP, how you actually get this guy. I mentioned you can only get him from VIP. You get him from the lower levels of VIP. I'll find a chart to put on the screen for the cost of the different bundles here, but you make any purchase and you'll get Minamoto as an unlock. But then from there, at least at the time of this recording, the cost goes up and up and up as you consider buying these different bundles. In fact, I can show you the price of some of these bundles by going to my small account at over 100 million power, lol. My small account, okay, did not max Minamoto. I still use him to rally barb forts. The result's not as good as the main account, but it's honestly fine. So is it reasonable to not max Minamoto? Yes. Do I kind of wish that I had on this account? I mean, kind of, right? So what did I buy on this account? I went in, and I'm almost SVIP on this account. I'm VIP 18 on my small account. But I bought, oh my god, I clicked too many times. Okay. I bought VIP 0, VIP 1. I did not buy, let's see here. I did not buy VIP 8 or VIP 9. These are the pricey ones. VIP 9 is $100, and VIP 8 is $50. All right. I did buy VIP 7 and below, okay? And so what did that get for me? What that did for me is I've now got my Minamoto, who I can find for you, at 5, 3, 4, 1, okay? So I max the first skill, and you'll have this thing called skill lock, so you can kind of mess around with this. But I maxed the first skill. Then I wanted all my points to land over here for the barb damage. Okay. And I took him to 3 stars. So I have 3 skills unlocked. And then I started to apply, or you take a star level all the way up, whatever, and use skill lock like this, right? Set to 3. And you want your skills to land in the barb damage because, we're talking about using him for barb forts here. Second skill is a small amount of march speed and attack. It's kind of whatever. It's not that big a deal. Fourth skill is really great. It's a debuff on an enemy. Makes it so that everything hitting that enemy will do more damage, which is great. It's an amazing debuff. But for this, like, you're not swarming barb forts, right? Like, you just want barb damage. Like, you want this big skill damage factor, and you want barb damage. That's the whole thing, okay? And I got pretty decent here with a 5, 3, 4. You can also use these things called skill resets. I happen to have 21 of them, but you need them for other reasons later on. You'll try to, like, get certain skill combinations on commanders for special KVKs. And in case you're wondering what this, like, weird fish thing is going on, it's a cosmetic. I unlocked a cosmetic on this account. I'm trying it out. I don't know how I like it, to be honest. I feel like I don't know what it's doing here on my commander screen, but whatever. So yeah, you can use them on max, and like your report's obviously not going to be as good. And initially, you'll have some barb damage gear like this, okay, which is really powerful. Damage to barbs, 4%. The damage to barbs here is really good. 4% over there. This obviously is an amazing pairing of equipment because it gives you a bonus of stats and it's really cheap to make. We got some extra barb damage over here. I mean, like, this is the starter gear for sure. Okay. And then also the Savage Totem's really great. All super easy pickups. But now that the game has gone in and made it so you can do presets with your equipment and not have them forgotten for Sunset Canyon. Okay, this game mode over here, see, you can now say canyon equipment or map equipment. So what I should do even on this account is move over my best cavalry equipment to my barb rally, obviously. And then just use the Canyon equipment setup when I go to look at Canyon over here. All right, which I still need to go set my defense for, lol, and do my hits for today. So, anyways, the other thing that you will eventually get to, and this is going to take time, is you're going to unlock this thing called the formation system. All right. Formation system, you can get a look at in the state forum, but at the end of the day, there's like one formation you use, and it is the skill damage. All right. And the reason you want the skill damage is that you just want to take down the barb forts as fast as possible. And you can see here that, you know, these armaments I might have thrown away, and you probably would have otherwise as well. So consider subscribing if you're getting value from this. But this is a perfect armament for hitting barb forts. It's 5% extra damage to barbarians and 5% damage over here. So this is like kind of exactly what you want, and like the cav stats happen to be a bonus. This is march speed, it's whatever, but it's damage to barbarians. So you might be tempted to shred armaments that are like this, but actually I think if they've got damage to barbs, there's like a non-zero chance you kind of end up using it for your barb fort rallies. And, you know, even now I could go get a look here and see like, all right, do I have... I thought I selected damage to barbarians. I guess I don't have any that are damage to barbarians. Oh my god, they would have filtered to the top that are legendary. That's crazy. Okay, well, guess I've been getting rid of all the ones that aren't equipped. GG's. I just have this one. Well, this is my small account, you know? You get what you get, and you still get upset. I don't know. That's something that my wife's family says periodically. You get what you get, and you don't get upset. At least that's what they said back in the day. All right, now that I've revealed how old I am, where are we at with Minamoto? One final thing to talk about. The only reason he sort of retains his relevance in the endgame for barb forts, beyond what I've shared with you, is this over here. It's called a museum buff. You get these currencies. They will be limited. You will have ways to buy them if you want, though. It's a relic and exhibit coins. You unlock the exhibit for Minamoto, and you can get an extra 30% cav defense and attack. Like, is 60% of stats insane? Yes. Also, what does this tell you about the state of the game? That early game commanders are built around the early game, and they need a lot of help to compete in the end game, which means that if you think you're going to get Minamoto and fight other players in the end game with him in the open field, you're in for a rude awakening. You will need to go and get this buff, and you can use him initially as you're like building out your account. I don't think that's a bad plan. Like if you're getting to the end game and you're like, all right, I want one cav army, one, you know, infantry army, and one archer army, and like the first commander will be Minamoto and the second commander will be whatever the best commander is at the time, while you work on a bunch of commanders all at once, I think that's reasonable. But you can't just get to the end game and be like, yeah, Minamoto is going to slap. Like that just ain't it, right? He's not meta. He's far enough from meta now that, like, and Cav are far enough away from meta right now that I would just say no. We are expecting a new Cav commander to kind of show up soon for whatever it's worth. So, you know, that could change. But you know, you don't invest in Mina because you think he's going to be some end game all-star, okay? He's not. You're going to use him for barb forts. You're going to do it every day. You don't have to have him maxed to get value from that. And you can see, like, the repair cost, it's going to add up in the end game, even. When people have pretty decent stuff to rally the barb forts with, you're still going to be eating a repair cost, which is where the sort of Minamoto value comes in, right? You're spending an upwards of, I think it's $200 to max him. And what you're getting is barb fort efficiency. You're going to rally more barb forts, which means more speed ups, resources, action point potions. Okay. And you're going to trade better, which means more resources. It's not going to mean more speed ups because you're not going to use speed ups to heal troops from rallying barb forts. All right. But you can see kind of money where my mouth is. I use this preset. And as I mentioned, I should probably switch over a bunch of my gear to put onto here. Or what I've been doing is I use 2 barb fort rallies as I was describing. I've got a, you know, Minamoto based rally over here. And then I've got my Huo rally. Huo is the commander for now for this, but it assuredly will be some other commander in the future. All right. And so there we've done it. If you got value, throw a like on here and subscribe. We covered, I think, everything. Is Minamoto good? What's he good for? When to use him? What to do if you can't max him? And I don't blame you. You know, it's $200 and it's just one commander. And, you know, look, there's a lot of commanders, and these ones are going to cost you a lot more than $200 to max. And then eventually they lose their value and they just sit on the bench anyways. So, you know, you got to take what's meta where you can and when you can. And then, you know, you got like the Heralds and Ramses of the world that sit on the bench. Oh, don't get me started on Jadwiga. Anyways, I mention all of that because every game's got, you know, a meta that ebbs and flows, but knowing what commanders to invest in really matters a lot, which is why I release monthly guides about the best commanders to invest in. And it's the most watched series for Rise of Kingdoms in the history of the game. And I don't even need to look at the stats to tell you that because I've been, you know, doing it every month as I go along, and those videos get between, I don't know, depends on the month. Typically it's been, you know, 30 to 50,000 views a month, which is, hey, yo, for this game, that's pretty good. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, consider subscribing. I'll have a card in the end screen for one of those tier lists if you want to just see what I'm talking about. But you're going to want to check out whatever the latest month is, and it'll talk about it. Yeah, appreciate you subscribing to support the channel, all right? Until next time, you have fun, smash your enemies. You got any other questions or you just want to see more information about Minamoto? I'll tell you what, I'll have last year's Minamoto video. You can just watch that if you want. You can compare how my guidance has changed from year to year. And I don't think it's changed much, but check it out. It's got more in-depth information about the talents and some of these other choices, all right? Take care, everybody.